The Roaring Bull of Bagbury. Bagbury Farm was once home to a man whose wickedness was whispered about for generations. He was known throughout the land for his cruelty, a man who took more than he gave, whose heart seemed to hold little kindness for others. Yet, when he lay on his deathbed, he made a strange confession. In all his years, he claimed to have done only two good deeds. Once, he had given an old man a waistcoat to shield him from the biting wind, and on another occasion, he had shared a small piece of bread and cheese with a hungry boy. These meager acts of mercy were all he could recall in a lifetime of misdeeds. When the man finally passed, the people of Bagbury thought they were rid of his malevolence. But peace did not follow. His spirit did not rest, and soon, the farm and its surroundings were plagued by an unnatural terror. Each night, a monstrous bull, black as midnight and wreathed in shadow, emerged from the depths of the old farmstead. With eyes that burned like embers and a roar that shook the very earth, the beast raged through the buildings, sending shutters flying, rattling doors in their frames, and even tearing tiles from the rooftops with the sheer force of its presence. At first, the apparition confined itself to the later hours, arriving near midnight and haunting the land until dawn. But as time passed, the bull's anger grew. No longer content to wait for the deep hours of the night, it began appearing earlier, its terrible bellowing heard as soon as dusk fell. By 7 or 8 in the evening, people would flee indoors, locking their doors and shuttering their windows in vain attempts to keep the beast at bay. Those who dared remain outside swore they could feel its breath, hot and foul, on the back of their necks as they ran for safety. The people of Bagbury, desperate to rid themselves of the curse, sought help from the clergy. They called upon not one or two, but 12 learned parsons, men of faith whose prayers and holy words could cast out even the darkest of spirits. Armed with candles and their sacred texts, the 12 men gathered at the farm, their mission clear. They had to subdue the beast and banish it forever. The battle was long and arduous. Though they managed to drive the bull from the farm, it could not be laid to rest. It rampaged across the land, a tempest of hooves and fury, resisting every attempt to imprison it in the world beyond. The parsons, exhausted but resolute, finally forced the beast toward Hissington Church. Inside the ancient stone walls, they hoped to contain its fury and end its haunting once and for all. As the monstrous bull was herded into the sacred space, the 12 parsons lit their candles. The church glowed with flickering light, but the beast was not so easily subdued. With a deafening roar, it surged forward, and in an instant, all but one of the candles were extinguished. Panic gripped the men as darkness swallowed them whole. Yet, amidst the chaos, a single flame still flickered, held not in hand, but hidden inside the top boot of an old blind parson. This man, wise beyond sight, had known the beast's cunning ways and had prepared accordingly. "Relight your candles by mine," he commanded, his voice steady in the face of terror. One by one, the parsons reignited their flames, their resolve renewed. But the bull was not finished. In its final act of defiance, it let out such an earth-shaking bellow that the very walls of the church trembled. A deep, jagged crack split the stone from top to bottom, a scar that remained for years, a lasting reminder of the night the roaring bull of Bagbury fought against its fate. Finally, the parsons overcame the spirit's wrath. Using ancient rites, they forced the bull into a snuff box, binding it within the tiny confines of the container. But the bull, even in its prison, was not without demands. It pleaded with them, its voice now a whisper from within the box. "Lay me beneath Bagbury Bridge," it begged, "so that every mare that crosses shall lose her foal, and every woman who passes shall lose her child." But the parsons, though weary, would not grant such a cruel wish. Instead, they chose a fate far from Bagbury, far from any place the bull could do harm. They cast the snuff box into the Red Sea, condemning the beast to 1,000 years of silence. Even after the bull was laid to rest, fear still clung to Bagbury Bridge like a morning mist. Travelers avoided it when they could, whispering prayers if they had no choice but to cross. John Thomas, an old man who had lived near the village all his life, once spoke of the bridge's lingering dread. Long after the beast was cast into the sea, he said, "Folk feared to tread that path. I myself have crossed it many times, always on horseback, But never did I ride over it. No, I dismounted and walked softly, my boots barely making a sound against the stone. For who could say if the bull still listened, waiting for the day it might return? And so, the legend of the roaring bull of Bagbury endures, a tale of wickedness that refused to die, of a spirit too fierce to fade, and of those brave enough to stand against it. Whether the bull still waits beneath the waters of the Red Sea, biding its time until its 1,000 years are up, no one can say. But on some nights, when the wind howls just right and the earth trembles beneath unseen hooves, the people of Bagbury still listen, wondering if their old tormentor will one day return.